Gotta be 16, or what do you get? Another day warmer and deeper in debt. Well, St. Peter, don't call me, cause I ain't free. I owe my soul to PG&E.
Let's all go inside and sign up to speak inside the Public Utilities Commission. Let our voices be heard. Let's take back the light, take back the mic. This is our voice, this is our time.
The next speaker is Gerald Ryan, followed by Jolie Andrzejewski.
I had a point of information in the beginning. I came here for the tube, and the PG people over there, and I said, I demand a copy of what you're trying to do on the Freedom of Information Act. And they didn't have it. Then they got a computer. I said, pull out a computer. I couldn't do it. So I didn't speak. So I said, I want something here. I've come here before during the commission meetings, and I've asked the people, how many here have a copy of what they're proposing? And nobody had it. I was the only one that had it. I happen to be a member of TURN, so I do my homework. But what we are seeing here is greed, the arrogance of greed and power. That's what we're seeing PG&E do. You know, remember the history? If you don't know your history, you're going to make the same mistake. It was PG&E that kept out public power in San Francisco when they first built Hetchy. And when they finished it, they fired the man, and then they bought off the supervisors and the mayor, and PG&E bought all the copper wire in Northern California because Congress said once they built it there, once the power is connected to the city, then they have power, then they have it. And PG&E bought all the copper wire and said, we have right in Fremont where you are, just connect it here. It's okay to do it. And it's been, the PG&E has had it ever since. They destroyed public power in the beginning illegally and bought people off, and they waited till the senator died to start it, and everybody in the city that tries to put it, they spend millions of our money to defeat it, like they're trying to do in Marin County now. So it's the arrogance they've had since the beginning. And the very fact that they put 44 million plus into 16, and then immediately put in, they already had 2.2 million on raises pending before this 4 billion. But they're so arrogant that this is going to pass and nobody will have public power. They don't care that they do this. I can't understand. The worst economic condition we've had since the 30s. We have over 12% unemployed in California. And there are 2 times more people who are underemployed. Should I pay for my gas? Should I go to the doctor? Should I buy groceries? And this is what's going on statewide. You have 3 times as many people. Yeah. Nothing should be allowed to be raised until they do a study on the effect in California, especially the low income and the unemployed and the underemployed, the effect it's going to have on these people. You should not allow anything to do until you have a statewide study. How many people, more people need Lifeline than they have now? They haven't even done that. I mean, how can they do this in the face of this terrible economic situation? So I say put a moratorium on both those rates and take what they're doing, other gentlemen, take what they're using illegally and wasting our money, and they're using that and putting extra costs on their transmission, everything, more profit. You should not allow any of it. You are in charge. Please take over in charge. I'll give you something. I just came from St. Paul. They had a church service. Everybody in the church was freezing because they can't afford to put the heat on. And that's happening in churches all over the place. I looked at my PG&E bill, and it was from a year ago, the same amount used and everything else, and it was twice the cost of what it was a year ago. I mean, they're raising it as it is. And so the unemployed, the underemployed, that's the first two things. How many more people need the lifeline because they're unemployed or underemployed? You have to, what are the current situations, and don't give them anything until we see what has to be done. And you should say that, oh yeah, I deliver food, let's say Mr. Paul, 7 days a week, and I'm running into veterans that have coming back to their home. First of all, you're supposed to, if you're on active duty, you're supposed to have 36 months to get your job back. They're not getting their jobs back. Well, when you're on active duty, they're supposed to not be able to foreclose on you, and they're foreclosing, and people coming back. And that's just one of the little sections around that's going on. So all these people are being affected by everything they do. I say it's just the arrogance of power and greed. They don't give a damn about the people. So you have to make them give a damn and put it in point on this. A study on how many more people need help instead of how many more are going to be shut off. Thank you. Thank you.
The next speaker, Jolie Andrzakis, followed by Rob Simpson.
Hello, my name is Jolie Andrzakis, and the CPU says that they are researching smart meter rates and the privacy issues. What they don't say is that the structure group, who is the consultant for one of these researching things that they're doing, has had a 20-year relationship with PG&E, and we were told that they had no relationship to them. Since everyone before me has spoken about the rate hikes, I feel free to talk about what's closest to my heart. The CPUC has said nothing about the health effects of smart meters, nor does it sound like they're looking into them. Smart meters emit microwave radio frequency radiation. I am disabled from this radiation, and it would kill me if a smart meter is on my house or anywhere near me. There is no opt-out program by PG&E. If smart meters are not stopped, thousands will be made sick or die like me. Isn't the CPUC here to protect us? I wish you would.
Followed by Magic.
Good evening, I'm Rob Simpson. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. I looked outside for an agenda for this hearing. Is there an agenda?
This is a public participation hearing, and what happens is in the bill inserts that PG&E sent out in the monthly bill advises the public that the public participation hearings are being scheduled at different locations, provides a summary of their applications and what they're requesting for, and also states that if you need any assistance that you can contact the public advisor's office at the CPUC. So there is notice, and it's also published in various newspapers.
I see, but there's no agenda here.
No, there isn't, and that's because the public participation hearing notice goes out in everyone's bill that is the customer of that particular utility.
And our comments, I heard Carrie say that she's testified before a number of these proceedings. Are our comments given the weight of testimony here?
The comments that people make today, they're recorded by the court reporter. Those are summarized, given to the commissioners to consider. Also, in the decisions before the commission, the summary of the comments of the people who appear at public participation hearings are usually included in the text of that decision.
I'm sorry, was that a yes or a no?
Yes.
So our comments today are given the weight of testimony?
The comments are not given the weight of testimony, the weight of evidence, but they are summarized, distributed to the commissioners. All the handouts that are given out by any member who wants to speak are distributed to all the commissioners.
So are we to expect a response to our comments?
If you have questions concerning the application, I can try to answer that. But tonight is really your opportunity to speak about the application and what PG&E is requesting.
I see. I'm the plaintiff in a federal action against PG&E for this false and misleading Proposition 16 campaign and its attack on CCAs. The regulatory agencies, the PUC, are also named in that for failure to follow your mandate to regulate. Now, when I look at this rate case, I see the same scenario going down. We're here thinking that we're testifying that, or we're commenting that we're going to get some response, but we haven't heard that the reality to get response or to hear our words as testimony, we need to intervene in the proceeding. We need to testify in the actual hearings. This is a meeting or a hearing. I'm not sure what it is because I don't have an agenda here. But the rate case itself, this manipulation of the tiers is part of the same scheme of the fossil fuel industry attempting to wipe out any competition from renewable energy. By changing this rate structure, the people who have gone now to renewable sources are getting their limited return at this top tier, at this 50-cent tier. When PG&E removes that top tier, or moves it so everybody pays more but at lower tiers, what it does is it eliminates that motivation, the financial motivation for people to go to renewable energy. And by continuing to allow PG&E to do whatever it wants to do, the PUC is not protecting the public. We need requirements that our energy comes from renewable sources. I have an action against PG&E for a power plant they're building that is the PUC approved, the CEC approved, and it's licensed to burn 270,000 gallons of diesel fuel across the street from an elementary school. It's under construction right now in Humboldt County. 270,000 gallons a day of diesel fuel. And there's no reason for that to happen. They plan to put 10 Russian ship engines in. They're not even designed for electrical generation, but it's the cheapest way they can do it. So that's passed all these regulatory processes. It violates the Clean Air Act. We've got a number of their overdeveloped fossil fuel fleet violating the Clean Air Act without recourse. The selective enforcement, the ignoring the renewable energy portfolio standards while you continue to allow them to build fossil fuel facilities to preempt any demand for renewable energy, because the people who are going to renewable energy are paying for these plants. It's not, and now they're trying to make it retroactive that the CCAs are to pay for the Russell City Energy Center that was planned years ago. So that this law that is to allow PG&E to recoup for these plants from people who don't need them and charge everybody else more, it is not working for us. And this process where we don't have information on what we're here about, we don't have an agenda, we're required to sign in, we're required to give our names here. None of this comports with the Brown Act, none of this comports with CEQA, none of this comports with due process. So we'd really like to see when we redress our government for our grievances, we'd like a response. We'd like to know what's really on the table, and we'd like our government to represent us, not the utilities.
Excuse me, Judge Wong. I see people applauding that are very familiar with the rules of practice before the California Public Utilities Commission and know that when testimony is offered as evidence, it's under oath and subject to cross-examination. This is a public participation hearing. It's being provided to allow the public to weigh in on their concerns regarding the two applications that have been filed with the CPUC. That is the purpose why we're here this evening. We'll be here however late it takes, however much time you want to take, in order to express your views, which are very important to this case. But I think based on the comments that you made, it's important that I clarify this. At a public participation hearing, you are not placed under oath. You're not subject to a cross-examination. So while your statements go into a record for review, they are not evidentiary based on the very constitutional due process proceedings that you referenced. And as you being a party to a federal action, I would think that you're familiar with evidentiary rules and when a statement is offered as evidence, as testimony.
Yes, I do have some familiarity, but what I'm not hearing is this information in advance, so everybody can know that this is not really testimony. We're just venting here, that we don't get the kind of response that we would expect in a CEQA action. We don't get the kind of response or consideration for our comments that we would get if we were really testifying.
You and any member of the public, any ratepayer, has the opportunity to file an action before the California Public Utilities Commission. Oftentimes, ratepayers are represented by our Division of Ratepayer Advocates, TURN, UCAN, AGLIT, other organizations that identify themselves as ratepayer advocates. But I want to make it very clear, the public has the ability to participate in our proceedings. You can file as a party to the proceeding, you can be on the service list, you can participate in all of the hearings that take place in a general rate case or other cases before the commission. There's no prohibition to you participating as a party. Right now, you are not a party to this proceeding. You are offering testimony at a public participation here. There's a distinct difference. But I just want that clarification for purposes of the public so that the individuals who speak this evening understand that this is an important part of the process, but you're correct, it is not part of sworn testimony.
I appreciate that, and that's what my contention is, that information is important to share with the public without my chatting.
I think that's a good point you bring up, and I thought that Judge Wong covered that in his opening statements, but as we have continuous public participation hearings throughout the PG&E territory, I will take your comments into consideration and make sure that these matters are explained. We will also do our best. I'll have the Public Advisor's Office have materials available at the tables outside of our future hearings. I think that, as I said earlier, I think that's a very good point. I don't think you should have to rely upon your statement insert or a website for the basic information about tonight's proceeding. So the Public Advisor will make that available for future hearings.
Thank you. I think those are
Thank you.
the right direction.
Okay.
The next speaker is Magic, followed by Alexander Binnick.
So I'm sitting here thinking, what are we going to do as a community around this? Right now, you're meant to be representing the public. You're being pushed real hard by the public right now. We've seen the CPUC and historical evidence continue to approve of PG&E rate hikes over and over again. I'm from Sebastopol, and we had a forum held in our town around what PG&E is doing, and there were 300 people that attended in a town of 7,000. And PG&E text messaged our supervisor an hour and a half before the hearing and said, like a teenager, "Hey dude, can't make it." Now, that's not respecting our community. Our supervisor was extremely offended, and they refused to come to a panel that they had agreed to come to for some time. So the CPUC representatives kind of took the flak. And it must be really hard for you to sit up there. We're having so much trouble with our democracy right now. We're not feeling represented. We're feeling upset. We're feeling angry. And we need your help. We really need your help. We can't think inside the box anymore. The representatives from the CPUC told us repeatedly there's only been 500 complaints, said it over and over again. And now you forced PG&E to release that there's been 43,000 complaints. So what are we going to do? We've got an oil spill happening that could devastate this planet for decades. And one of the main reasons is because it wasn't regulated. This is a tragedy of democracy we're facing. It breaks my heart. And everybody here is really sad. We're really not so angry as we are sad that we're losing this beautiful planet to corruption. So I want to ask you to think with your hearts and know that you have the power to bring PG&E in line. Because right now, in this country, as absolutely opposed to common sense and decency, corporations have human rights, and human rights for people are being slashed daily. We need to heal this. We don't really want to come and yell at our public officials. We want you to do what's right. We want there to be profits for the future, not PG&E's profits, but profits that have vision, that want to give our children a future. There's a program that was started in Chicago that said every time at a public meeting, we should ask this question: is it good for the children? Public power in Marin, eventually being able to set up their own power plants and not buy from Shell, which they're doing now, temporarily, is an excellent idea. Healdsburg, the town near where I live, 40 years has been doing this. Monopolies are not healthy for this country. Corporations make humans disposable. CEOs may get $9 million, but they have to take the rap for a bad situation. They're out too. No humans are valued. You know, my PG&E woman that read my meter came to my house and I said, please come in and let's talk. I don't want you to lose your job. Mother of two, single mother of two. This smart meters thing, hundreds of people are going to lose their jobs. And then a PG&E guy came to put my smart meter on my house. I said, I don't want a smart meter. He said, oh, you're going to have it eventually. I asked him, where in a democracy did you learn that you have to do what a corporation tells you to do? Where did you get the idea that you couldn't question authority? We had a long talk. I invited him to that panel meeting that night. I don't know if he came. But I wanted to talk to these human beings. I talked to a woman in the smart meter line. And you know, I really worked at it because I feel this so much. Now, I put a big word on my paper, calm. I wanted to try to stay in my groundedness, to say the truth. We talked for a while, and I said, you know, I think we're doing all right here as people. And she says, you do? And I said, yeah. And she said, well, I want to apologize because I was really short with you in the beginning. So we had a good conversation as two people. This is what we need to do again. We need to be people together. These people, us people, the people in PG&E that are getting fired, we've got to come together. We can't do this anymore. We can't use little details and little laws and little ordinances to deny the big picture. As a judge, Your Honor, judges are meant to look at how to really interpret the law, not just rote follow it. We can't just say, it was the law, we know where that led on planet Earth. I was just doing what I was told. We know where that's led. Please, let's find a way to work together. These rate hikes are obscene. $44 million to Ross Macarini, elected official, spoke at our rally just now and said, this is the first time if this passes, which it won't, that a corporation has embedded its right to a monopoly and a 2/3 vote by the people in the Constitution of the state of California. These people, the corporation has become back actors, not the PG&E employees, because that's not the human part of it. I thank you for your time. I hope that you consider my words.
You gotta be 16, or what do you get? Another day warmer and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I ain't free. I owe my soul to